to Cabrillo Unified School Board meeting. The board.
That might be better. Thanks, guys. The board has just returned from closed session and no action was taken. So we are going to move along to the Pledge of Allegiance. And Lauren, you're going to lead us today, so please do.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, item number 7 on the agenda. Could I please have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. 5+0. Thank you, Lauren. All right, very exciting tonight. Number 8, student, staff, and community recognition. We have a whole host of folks who have served our district wonderfully, and we're going to recognize them tonight. So, Jay. Oh, Jason's going to do it. Oh, great. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Do I?
Yes.
Okay. Just kind of pivot back and forth to the folks.
Press the button.
No. There we go. Let's try this again. Good evening.
Welcome.
I'm Jason, your Director of Pupil and Personal Services, and I'm excited tonight to present the service pins to all of our dedicated staff. I'm going to read off their names, and if you are here, please come on up and see me. I would like to apologize in advance for the 5-year folks. We ordered the pins, they're on the way. So I will be coming to deliver those to you individually. 5 years we have for CUTA, Yolanda Au, Sherry Hall, Peter Monica, Lane Mullen, Leah Murray, Daniel Robles, and Diane Angst. For CSEA, we have Dina Grover, Constantino Torres, Michelle Harris, Adon Vasquez, Alex Preciado, Eric Antonio, Andrea Bauer, Crystal Leach, and Hilda Flores. Sorry about your pin. Next, for 10 years, we have Tim Lugo for CUTA, Kathy Rippenberger, Miley Springer, and Heidi Mills. For CSEA, we have Ron Moldovan, Karen Rodriguez, and Rosabel Acosta. "15 years, CUTA, we have Erin O'Connor-Brown, Stacy Walsh, Diana Garcia, Catherine Holland-Fall, and Pat Olson. I know, right? Hopefully, well, we have one being made right now.
I thought about it for a minute. I know I'm going to leave my
Thank you,
camera on.
Mr. Olson.
All right, thank you.
Are you representing everybody?
No, there's more back here.
He is a representative.
People have been here even longer than I have.
Yeah, the people who've been here longer, they know they just sit in the back and just wait. Okay, 20 years. CUTA, John Carey, and CSEA, Jose Acosta Mata. Thank you. Congratulations. For 25 years, for CUTA, we have Kathleen Wall, Pauline Shu, and then for CSEA, we have Jeanette Bass and Margie Daughtry. And the moment I know I've been waiting for. Our 30-year folks. Who's here for our 30-year folks?
I am.
You are, well,
Tom had a reservation at the time.
well, would you please, before you come up, I have a few words for you. So, Mary Marsh Coyle, as I learned from all the fun documents. Thank you for your 30 years of service, most recently, teaching art at Cunha Middle School. Ms. Coyle's education includes UC Santa Cruz, Cabrillo College, and Lake Tahoe Community College. During her years here for Cabrillo USD, she's taught social studies, exploration, science, PE, language arts, math, and most art. Yeah, so far so good?
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe a combination of that.
A lot of math. In addition to a strong subject knowledge, a few common threads exist through all of her various classes over the years. She builds a strong relationship and rapport with all students. She creates a welcome environment in which students feel safe to learn, question, and grow. And she continues to learn and improve her practice throughout all of her years of being here. With this, thank you for your service. Please come on up. And thank you, everybody, for your time.
Oh,
Quite.
listen, before you sit down, would you announce the other?
Of course, my apologies. Our other two 30-year folks, we have Tom Cox and Linda Herbert.
And we have a 25-year person just came into the room, Kathy. All right, thank you, Jason. All right, we're going to move on to number 9, which is comments from the public related to items not on this agenda. And so we do have a green sheet, Rick Southern and Dr. Rosa Brody. If you come on up to the mic. Just a reminder for non-agendized items, just for the audience and for the speakers. By state law, the board can't comment or interact on it, but our ears are open. We're here to listen, so thanks for coming.
Thank you. So we're combining our 3 minutes into 4.5. Yeah, to make it
That's
official.
manageable, yes, that's fine.
Most of you on the board know me and Dr. Rosa Brody as fellow parents deeply involved in our schools. In addition, Rosa brings a medical background and a lifelong interest in the health of our students. Excuse me. Today we're here on behalf of ourselves and the Half Moon Bay High School Health and Wellness Committee to ask the board 2 things relating to the November ballot, 4 initiatives that relate to a yes or no vote on cannabis, commercialization of cannabis in Half Moon Bay. They're the commercialization of growing, manufacturing, and retail sales. Our first request is that the CUSD board and representatives endorse the no position on each of the 4 November ballot measures. Our second request is that you give permission to those that represent the educational community, the teachers and administrators who are looking for your guidance, permission to provide their personal endorsements against the measures should they so choose. Why is this important? Regardless of your personal feelings and inclinations related to cannabis, the cannabis issue here tonight should be strictly focused only on the welfare of the students, their health, their ability to learn, and their ability to be educated. In this context, this is not a political issue, it's not a farm issue, it's strictly an education and student issue. There's not one good thing growing and selling cannabis in Half Moon Bay will do for your students, not one. But there are many downsides. First, research shows a connection between proximity to cultivation and sales and increased usage by kids, by adolescents. Greater exposure and normalization lead to greater underage use. Second, it's widely accepted that cannabis usage by adolescents is terrible for the brain and can lead to lifelong consequences, including decreased IQ, concentration, and attention spans, which makes it harder to educate the kids. Thirdly, while the brain is developing, Consuming cannabis or any other drugs can lay down the neurological patterns for lifelong addiction. About 17% of underage users will become addicted to cannabis, according to the New England Medical Journal. These addiction rates are twice that of adults because of the developing brain. If increased exposure through commercialization leads to increased underage usage, and increased usage harms students' ability to learn, be educated, and be healthy, why wouldn't the school board do everything possible to step up and be heard on this issue? If this isn't convincing enough, consider one more major issue. How many of our students are children of non-citizens? Many of these non-citizens work in the agricultural field. The Immigration Legal Resource Center warns that working in any marijuana facility can expose a non-citizen to being charged and found guilty of a federal crime. This makes him or her deportable and barred from ever returning to the United States. If local growers switch to cannabis, some workers will have to choose between quitting their existing jobs or risking arrest and deportation. I'm sure every principal in this district has had to deal with the horrific and devastating consequences of seeing a two-parent family become a one-parent family when a breadwinner is deported. There's already heightened fear and stress in the Latino community, and this would be worsened by bringing cannabis to our farms. The board and many administrators came out loud and clear in support of Measure M. So there's a precedent. Time is of the essence. If your endorsement is going to mean anything before the election, it has to happen now. In the interests of the health and welfare of the kids, can we hear a declaration from the board tonight endorsing the no stance on the ballot initiatives related to the growing, manufacturing, and selling of cannabis in the city of Half Moon Bay? I am presenting this request to you along with references to the supporting research for the claims I've made about brain development, etc. Can we have your support, please? Thank you. Any questions?
Oh.
Rosa, did you have that was everything?
No, that was everything.
Oh, you did it combined,
We went over
okay.
3
Yeah,
minutes, so.
yeah, okay. Guys, as I referenced, we can't comment or interact with the non-agendized items, so we can't respond to that. Okay, thank you. All right, thanks for your time. We will move on to representative reports. CUTA. Kathy, are you, welcome. Congratulations on 25 years. That's fantastic.
Good evening, governing board members and Superintendent Euster. I wanted to introduce tonight to you Ramon Macias. He was my colleague for many years at Hatch School, and he is our newly elected CUTA Vice President. I continue on as the bargaining chair, so you'll see me at these meetings, but Ramon might be up here speaking on behalf of CUTA in the months. Sean is unavailable this evening, so Ramon's going to stand here with me as I make my comments on behalf of CUTA. As my did I say that Ramon works at Cunha now?
No.
Yes.
I work there.
He works at Cunha, and yay, Cunha! And he does Spanish language arts for
6th and 8th grade.
6th and 8th grade, and he likes it.
Congratulations on,
Congratulations
on the new role.
Thank you.
So, as my kindergarten and first grade students know, because they've been counting, and I want to make sure Patty gets this in the minutes, it's the 18th day of school. So, wow, school. Our students are great, and we are excited to be with them, because being with the students is the best part of the job. Anything we do as classified employees, teachers, administrators, and school board members, we need to do very well. Our time is limited. The allocation of our almost $36 million budget needs to ensure that every dollar spent benefits children. If what we do as individuals or a district cannot be proven to have a positive effect on students, we should not bother doing it. Checking off items on a list is not enough. Adopting curriculums, attending meetings and conferences, filling out paperwork, inputting data, everything we do as employees is worthless if the activities we engage in do not have a proven positive effect on student achievement. This is not a suggestion that the aforementioned activities cannot have a positive effect on students. It's just that checking off a completed activity does not signify that our essential goal of educating children is accomplished, and we need to hold ourselves to a higher standard. We need to identify the factors that have a positive effect on student learning and align our financial resources in that direction. We need to know each student, identify the needs of each student, and then fund the needs of each student before we fund anything else. Thank you for your time. Here's to a positive and productive school year.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, 10B, CSEA, for their stand. Welcome.
Good evening, Board and Superintendent Euster, Director Mr. Owen. On behalf of CSEA, I'd like to advise the Board that we had very good negotiations a week ago Friday. I think everything was very positive, and I'm looking forward to our December meeting when we continue our endeavors. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. All right, we'll move on to 11, reports, information, and presentations. 11A has received 2017-18 unaudited actuals financial report. And Ms. Leach, you'll be leading that conversation, so welcome. And congratulations on 5 years. It's been a blink. I remember when
It's hard
you
to
moved
believe when I
here.
started here, I was only 29.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm still 29. I'm counting back right. Totally counting back right. So before I begin tonight, I wanted to share something that's pretty special to me. Not often do I receive mail that's actually enjoyable in the business office. Usually everything we get is an invoice, an audit, a report that we have to fill out, or somebody asking for information. And last week, I received from a co-citer a copy of this paper from 1961 that is of, I guess it was still when it was different school district, but on the back is the budget, which I thought was very interesting. And so as Ms. Wall had mentioned earlier, we're at 36 million. Back in 61, we were like $300,000. So just a lot of zeros have been added since then. But it's very interesting. You can actually see from this that the state income and the district income and the instruction, and still the largest part of the expenses are still your salaries. There was no benefits back then, so I don't even know if did they have health care? I don't know, it was before me, so I don't know. But I do get some of these. Somebody also sent me a copy of one of the first bonds that the district had sold. So I do have these framed in my office and stuff on display. So if anybody else has any old stuff, I would love for you to send it to me. Okay. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so tonight I present to you the unaudited actuals from 17-18. So these are unaudited as the audit for 17-18 has not occurred yet. It will occur in November and then be presented to the board in January. So where are we? We are at the unaudited actuals. In June, I had presented you the estimated actuals and the adopted budget. We're about to start the auditing process for 17-18 and gear up for first interim. So again, this is just a reminder of how the business office operates in multiple years within the same fiscal year as far as our financial reporting goes.
So tonight, we're going to go over the general fund actuals, both revenue and expenditures. We're going to look at a snapshot of enrollment. We are going to discuss and kind of spend a lot of time on the multi-year projection revised from budget slide, briefly look at the other fund summary, and then look at our reserves. So as we get started, the revenue from 17-18 is pretty on course. We did receive a slight increase from previous years. We are going into 18-19 fully funded for LCFF. Our total revenues are just over 36 million. And I really like to draw a lot of attention to this restricted revenue of 2.8. That other local, that's our community. That's our parcel tax, that's our boosters, that's our PTOs, that's our foundations. And without that 2.8, it would make it even more difficult to do the things that we do for students. So an enrollment snapshot, you can see that we are in declining enrollment. Although this curve is pretty drastic, it's not too drastic as far as the funding goes. We're based on the greater or the prior year. We're losing anywhere between 50 to 75 students a year. Usually it drops off when this is reported, and then it gains again when we submit our enrollment projections for P2 in early spring, late winter. So when we look at expenditures, we can see if we go straight to that bottom that 37,446 is definitely larger than what our revenue is. So we are deficit spending a little over $1.3 million. Most of that, the deficit comes from most of the increased costs in pensions for both STRS and IMPERS. About 87% of our budget is on salaries and benefits. We did have a higher expenditure for books and supplies last year due to some curriculum adoptions that we had. We're still trying to bring in line food services that still is having a slight encroachment on the general fund. So as we get to the MYP, also known as the multi-year projection, usually I don't bring this to the unaudited actuals presentation, but since we're going into some difficult times ahead, I thought it would be good to revisit this, and then also know that we ended up finishing higher in 17-18 than we thought, which changes obviously the projections moving forward. So just recently, and I don't believe it's been delivered to the board yet, we did receive our budget approval letter from the county the budget is approved on a conditional basis. So this is the first time for Cabrillo. What that means is that we will have to supply them a plan, some additional steps. There'll be more meetings. They very well could be joining us at our board meetings. And working a lot more closely with me on financial projections. They're really wanting us to focus on our deficits and our reserves. Something that's new from budget time is what I often refer to as FCMAT. It's an acronym. It's the Fiscal Crisis Management Assistance Team. Question A for assistance, but there's been some changes. They have submitted some language to the state where they're going to be more interactive with county offices of education, therefore more active with districts. Before, they used to just come in if a district was insolvent and needed an emergency loan, then they would come in. They would pretty much start running things and change the way the district was moving to try to make them solvent again. This is a little different. They will now be coming in and assisting when there is a budget that is conditionally approved. So I very well probably will be expecting a call from them within a couple of months or so. They will also be visiting if you have 3 qualified budgets. So at budget adoption, we don't have a certification. That is now changing. Even though you're presented with an MYP budget for just for projections, there's not a certification where we have positive, qualified, or negative that we usually talk about at interims. So next year, you'll see that type of certification with the budget. So they're coming if you have 3 qualified budgets, financial reportings in a row, which would be 1 year. So you have 3 reporting, right? You have your budget, you have your first interim, and then you have your second interim. So if those are all qualified, then they will be providing the district a visit. If you have 1 negative reporting period, so that third out year, which is what ours looks like, this third out year, they will be, if you have 2 out years, which is negative, then they will be providing also a visit. So we're still learning about how these visits are going to be, what they're going to do, if they will be here, if I send them information. So I will have more of an update for you at first interim when that actually takes place. But what I do want to point out to you is at budget time in 1920, we did not meet our 3% reserve. But because we finished higher in 17-18, it kind of kicks that can a little further down the road, lessens the negativity in 2021. So we're actually 3% for 18-19 and 19-20. But as you can see in 2021, we don't meet that 3% by $2.4 million. Now in 2021, that is when our parcel tax expires, but our parcel tax is only for $1.6 million. So we still have a very large deficit below our 3%, which is required by law.
Chris, can you comment a little bit about, you said that the lens is on the district, just it's new standards, there's a new lens from the state, there's a lot more districts who have been.
We definitely are not alone.
Right, that's
Yeah.
really what it's,
No,
just
we're-
to give some perspective to the public.
Absolutely. We're definitely not alone. And FICMED has always been there. I think more so that LCFF is fully funded and now your increases in revenue are only going to grow by your COLA. More districts. It's just not enough. With these pension rates, it's not enough to do everything that we have to do. I mean, even a budget that doesn't have a lot of fat in it. So, you know, Governor Brown really wants to make sure that his LCFF is successful, and he feels by giving FICMAT some more say and involvement earlier on in the process to try to steer districts in the right direction, that, you know, districts will be okay. Unless we deal with the pensions, you can have as many people look at the books as you want. The math doesn't work. So you know, I still will keep driving that home. But they hired like 2 additional people around the state. They have a whole department that's going to be there to really assist districts. So I would imagine they're going to do a lot of traveling.
Will hopefully be more than just telling us something we already know.
Exactly.
Provided, so.
Yes, please be those additional set of eyes.
Maybe they'll go back to Sacramento and say we need more money.
Exactly.
Which would be nice. So real quick, Crystal, just a clarification, the conditional approval is not qualified.
It is not qualified.
Okay.
No, I've never had a conditional approval budget before, so
It's still a positive certification.
It's still a positive certification. We still have a budget, we're still running, we're still able to do the things. There are a lot of rules tied to approvals of our financials. So it is really essential that we, you know, do our best to try to maintain our 3% reserve. So when we look at the other funds, there are more funds outside of the general fund. Most of the general fund is what gets all the attention, but we do have an adult ed fund. We have a fully operational adult ed school, La Costa. We have our child development. You see a lot more activity, not so much right here as you will at first interim and moving forward, because now we have state preschool, which is really exciting, and that is Fund 12. Then we have our cafeteria fund, which is food service. We just have a little interest in deferred maintenance. I toggle back and forth whether I want to use that fund all the time, so we'll just keep growing. We get like $3 a year or something in there. And then we have our special reserve, $70,000. That was from a settlement several years ago. Money's just there. It is counted towards our 3% reserve, but it just kind of sits there. There's no reason really to move it. And then, of course, we have our Fund 21, which is our capital for our bond and construction projects. there's a lot of activity going on, as you can see. We did a lot of building and spent about $14 million last year. And then capital facilities is our developer fee funds, where we bring in revenue to be used for capital facilities projects for increased enrollment throughout the coast side. So our
It's just important, again, for the public, to see all that money related to construction and bond, that is totally separate from the general fund and unrelated to really what you said on the last slide about our operating.
Absolutely. These funds, the only thing of these funds that can be used is the 17. Everything else, and that 17 is just in there. It wouldn't even cover 2 days of payroll. But everything else has to be spent within the fund. Obviously, adult ed has to be spent on that program, preschool, and obviously that bond. So Measure M that was just passed, it can only be spent on construction and construction-related projects. It cannot be spent on anything related to the general fund. The only salaries that can be spent from it is into support of the bond. And even though I primarily support the bond, it cannot pay for my salary, so I'm still paid for the general fund.
Thanks for the clarification.
So when we look at our reserves, so our 3% for last year for 17-18 is the required amount is the 1.1. So we're finishing about 3.2. So we're just slightly under 6%. But as you can see, when we go from 6% finishing in 17-18, and then in 2021, so 3 years later, we're negative $2.8 million below what our 3% reserve is. So when you have this aggressive deficit spending like we do, you really eat up those reserves far faster than what we have in the past. Any questions?
Board members, any other questions? Thank you, Crystal. Superintendent?
Thank you. Crystal uses the terminology aggressive deficit spending, so I'd like to just clarify that. We have no choice. This isn't like the district lined up and said, hey, let's go buy a bunch of stuff and, aggressively go get it. This is that double-digit increase in pension and health care. Yeah, it's aggressive, but you got no choice.
Thank you for that clarification. All right, this second part of 11B is, Ms. Huster, you're going to do the state of the district presentation.
Good evening. I'd like to give you the third annual State of the District for Cabrillo Unified School District. Once again, my name is Jane Huster, and I am the superintendent of Cabrillo Unified. Last year in our presentation, we began to talk about the hopes and dreams of our students and how the district could work together in order to achieve those dreams. This year, I'd like to continue that conversation with you and show you some of the wonderful things that the district does with its students and with its families. But first, I'd like to talk to you about two very recent developments that have taken place within the district. Measure M. This community dreamed of updating the aging infrastructure of its schools. It began work on that dream by passing Measure S, the bond which began reconstruction. As of June, Measure M passed, and now that dream is in a position to become reality. In October, I will be bringing to the governing board a preliminary timeline of activities that is set to put our plans in motion. Thank you, COSI, for your undying support of our schools. An immediate impact of the passing of Measure M was the distribution of 1,000 Chromebooks to every high school age student within Cabrillo Unified, both at Half Moon Bay High School and at Pillar Pseudos. Yeah, it was awesome. Not only do students have the devices distributed to them, they are theirs to keep as they move through college and career. However, simply giving devices alone will not fix the digital divide. Some of our students have internet, and some of our students do not. We were able to leverage our bond and create a partnership with T-Mobile so that these devices now have available to them free of charge mobile hotspots. Students simply check them out at the library as if they check out a book. The device is theirs to keep for the year, and now truly we are beginning to level that divide so that all students may benefit from the powerful devices that they now have. Another thing that we began last year and that we will continue are what are the essential characteristics of a high school graduate in Half Moon Bay? What are those things that we as a community value most in our youth and insist that at a minimum our education system deliver? We started these conversations with the board and our staff last year. And this year we are looking forward to continuing our conversations with the entire community. Please look forward to a series of town hall meetings along with online presentations as well, so that together we can shape these essential characteristics of our high school graduates. These are two very exciting, brand new developments within the district. Now let me talk to you about our district. Who are we? What do we do? What are the challenges that we face? So who are we? Well, we're a mid-sized, rural, unified school district. Mid-sized, we have about 3,250 students. Rural, we are indeed a rural school district covering the second largest geographic vicinity in San Mateo County at 135 square miles. And unified, we are only one of 3 districts in all of San Mateo County that has the great thrill of taking kids from TK through grade 12. And frankly, we have preschool in this district and we have adult school. So truly, we impact some of our students from their very first educational opportunities all the way until they take their place in college or career. We are socioeconomically and ethnically diverse. Approximately 51% of our students are Hispanic or Latino, 40% white, and 9% other ethnic backgrounds. 26% of our students are English learners, and 46% of them are eligible for free or reduced lunch. We are heavily financially constrained. Inadequate state funding, combined with double-digit increases to our pension and health insurance cost, is placing many of the essential district programs at risk. However, we are heavily community supported. $2.9 million, or about 8% of this school district's operating budget, is from local sources such as parcel taxes, foundations, and PTOs. Here are our schools. 4 elementary schools, El Granada, Fairlawn View, Alvin S. Hatch, and Kings Mountain. Our intermediate school, Cunha, the comprehensive high school, Half Moon Bay High School, the alternative high school, Pilarcitos High School, and La Costa, our adult school, and Los Listos, our preschool. I apologize, but Los Listos does not have a banner yet, so I can't put a logo up for Los Listos. Some interesting things about our students and our children who graduate, and I brought them to you in a Did You Know? So did you know that our graduating seniors received more than $190,000 in local scholarship money? That is one of the highest in all of San Mateo County for local scholarships. 41 of our students, or 60%, of the graduating class from last year earned a weighted grade point average of 4.0 or higher. That is impressive. And the graduation rate for Half Moon Bay High School was 98.6%. That is the second highest graduation rate in all of San Mateo County. These statistics, by the way, come from a release from the San Mateo County Office of Education and are compiled by the San Mateo County Office of Education. So it's not just me making it up. You know it's not me also because I'd have us in first place. So. You know. 57% of our students meet the University of California, California State University requirements. That is the third highest in all of San Mateo County. Are we satisfied with that? No, we're going to make it higher. But right now, we are still the third highest in county. And 34% of our students earned the Golden State Seal Merit Diploma. Try saying that fast 5 times. That diploma is amazing, and in order to get it, students have to receive a grade of B or above, the average, in 6 different unique subject areas. Our 34% is the second highest in the county. What a remarkable group of students we turn out. Did you know our high school football team won the Northern California State Championship and made its first ever appearance in a state championship final? Our boys basketball won the Central Coast Section Championship. Boys and our girls wrestling team won their respective PAL championships. Our high school musical last year, The Little Mermaid, was featured on a segment from National Public Radio. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a couple minutes. Students from Cunha Intermediate School went on and placed very well in the state science fair. And 71% of our students who participated in Jumpstart Summer School were reclassified as English language proficient. This means those students can now be ready and eligible to meet the University of California, California State University requirements. Without this Jumpstart and moving rapidly forward, they would be unable to do so. When I speak to parents about what their hopes and dreams are for their students, the thing I hear most is I want them happy. I want them well-adjusted. Tonight, I would like to focus on programs from our district that aim at those 2 very important goals. We don't always talk a lot about these programs, so I thought it was very important to bring them to light. First and foremost, care and nurture. There is not a principal, faculty member, classified staff member, and anyone who surrounds our students on a day-to-day basis who is not fully committed to their growth and development. Our programs such as positive behavior interventions and supports, anti-bullying, dynamic mindfulness, cooperative learning, all seek to surround our students with care and with nurture, and for them to know that they come to a safe place. Fun and friendship. Once again, our positive behaviors interventions and support. Our mental health services, our anti-bullying programs, all make clear to our students we believe that they need to be members of a society which not only tolerates but appreciates differences and celebrates the uniqueness of every wonderful human being that is involved. New ways of teaching and learning. Yes, we have technology, we have a lot of it, and we continue to add it. What's unique is how we choose to use it. Through our project-based learning and our agri-based learning, we have children solving real-world problems with unique and different solutions. We also continue this through our high schools in our career and technical education, which allows students to move forward in non-traditional career paths such as agribusiness, construction, and also in broadcasting, so that they can continue directly from high school and into career. Our small class sizes, average class size of 24:1 in grades TK through 3. College preparation, we have more than 26 unique advanced placement courses in our high school. That is one of the highest and compares well with the best high schools in San Mateo County. Early and middle college. In these programs, students can earn both college and high school credits simultaneously. Middle college, there are 10 students who participate from this school district who actually go to the college. In early college, we are now up to an enrollment of more than 90 students taking classes under the early college. I'm also very pleased to announce to you in our early college program, more than 90% of our students were eligible through grades to receive the dual credits. That, by the way, is higher than if they would have gone to take the same class at the junior college. So our ratios are higher than theirs on the pass rates. Now we turn to drama. So we were indeed, The Little Mermaid was on NPR. Because tonight is a short presentation, I'm not going to play the whole thing for you, but it's queued up there for you to take right down from the presentation. And if you go to 2 minutes and 50 seconds, you will hear the gorgeous voice of our lovely soprano as she sings, Ariel sings in The Little Mermaid. Drama is an elective at our high school, and I am very pleased to announce to you that instead of simply one musical in the spring, we now have a fall play and a spring musical. Music. Music is one of the backbones of the school district. Paid for in our elementaries by our PTOs, music begins in kindergarten and goes through 5th grade. In 5th grade, the district begins to arrive, and it is an elective in our intermediate and our high schools. Oh, and music is also instrumental and vocal. However, vocal does not arrive until high school. Art. Again, a huge thank you to our PTOs. There's just no way we could do this without them. Our PTOs pay for both music and art in grades TK through 5. Art then becomes an elective in our intermediate school and in our high school. Home economics, those skills parents talk to us about. Can you make your own food? Will you starve when you leave my house? Do you know how to do a budget so you can go to a grocery store and buy food? We have wonderful home economics waiting as an elective for our middle school, and we also have some home economics in our high school as well. Industrial arts. As much as we'd like to believe that students come to us for the academics, it's not true. Industrial arts, for those who believe their career paths lie elsewhere, we have them available both in our middle and our high school. Our high school, in fact, has a construction certification in our career technical pathways for students who wish to go directly from high school and into career. As I said, it goes along with our broadcasting and also our agribusiness. Even with all of these things, sometimes it's not enough, and sometimes our students need more. On top of all the things I have spoken with you this evening, we also have educational support services. When a student truly struggles and our opening levels of support are not sufficient, we can follow up with both 504 and individual education plans to assist these students. Reading intervention for struggling readers, mental health services, both group and individual services, staff wellness services, parent outreach and education, after school services, and summer school all augment the primary education of our students, and all are critical for their growth and continued development. So what are the opportunities for the district? The district needs to continue to partner with and leverage the wide variety of local resources for the benefit of our students. We also need to ensure that all of our students have these essential characteristics that they're going to need to be successful in college and career. And so we're really looking forward to our conversations this fall. However, we face some really hard realities. First and foremost, this district is funded at the 2007-2008 funding levels, and this is 2018. The state considers the so-called gap in funding to be closed, and will no longer be giving large pushes of money towards the districts. Instead, we will be tied to the cost of living. We also have this district paid on a per-student basis, which is not true of all districts. And because we are, and because our enrollment has declined, we will see a loss in revenue of approximately $450,000. So I just want to translate Crystal's into exactly what that means. On top of that, we have no choice but to handle the double-digit increases in pension and health care obligation. The cost of living on the coast continues to increase. When we interview the students, the 50 that we have lost, and we have spoken with every single one of them, the reason given every single time, I can't afford to live here. Put that together with the salaries we're able to pay our teachers and staff, and the job of recruitment and retention becomes very challenging indeed. I can't end on that note, however, because one of the critical factors is how well this coast side supports its schools. Remember earlier on I said that 8% of our operating budget is through the unbelievable support of our community. And let's look how that plays out. Our district-wide support through the Measure B parcel tax, our construction bonds of Measure S and Measure M, financial scholarship and in-classroom support of the Cabrillo Education Foundation, the Rotary of Half Moon Bay, the Coastside Chamber of Commerce, and the AAUW, the American Association of University Women, just to name a few, are some of the bedrock of the district-wide support. Add on top of that the support that pours in on our sites from our PTOs, foundations, boosters, and the thousands of volunteer hours that our parents and community put in at our schools. And you truly have what is the most valuable asset of this coast side, is that A, it recognizes it takes a community and a village to raise our children, and B, it does not shirk at all from joining in and partnering from this school district in order to achieve these objectives. Together, we will ensure that all Cabrillo graduates proudly represent the coast, carrying the essential characteristics that will make them successful in college and career. Thank you very much.
Board members, any questions, comments, feedback?
Funding, yeah, that's the one.
Let's just start, I'll break the seal. Thank you. I mean, phenomenal presentation, obviously, but it's interesting to have your two presentations back to back, right? 'Cause it's like, how do we do that with that? It's kind of amazing. And I saw Cesar Guy Todd's video recently of the literacy workshop that they did with High Expectations, and it's like, and I volunteer a lot in the classrooms, and it's partly to give back myself, and it's partly part of my learning experience as a parent, as a board member, to just kind of see what's happening on the ground. And it's like literally every day I see something that like just blows me away. And just how people are like working despite those challenges of resources or complexity or difficulty, and it doesn't matter, right? We don't, like, we're struggling here, like a lot of people in the coast are struggling, right, financially, lots of different ways. We passed a bond measure, like amazing, right? Like people don't, it's like parents, by the way, in case anyone's curious, parents don't have a lot of time, like, right, sitting around, like, I don't know what to do, I'm gonna go spend hours at my kid's school, like, painting signs or whatever, like, people just step up and do this, and to me, that spirit of the coast, it's just phenomenal that we can do, this is real, this is happening each and every day in our schools, despite the bleak picture and all those other things that we haven't even gone through, the regulations and, you know, all that kind of like fun stuff that can easily weigh us down. So I just want to say thank you to you and everybody, you know, in the district, in our schools, but as you said, not, you know, well beyond that in terms of just this coastside community that steps up and like brings what they have to the table. We kind of see how it works in, and we make it happen, and, you know, do our best for the kids. So I just want to say thank you.
Yes?
Well said, kid.
Just a quick comment. I mean, it's just a travesty is really the word relative to the fact that we have funding flat for 10 years, right? And, you know, I think generally speaking, Governor Brown's done a pretty good job of righting the ship and planning for, you know, whatever happens next and reserves and so forth. But in this time of the highest economic times in the state of California, we're the 5th largest economy in the world, and we're funding at this level. It is a travesty, and you know, people need to, change will come with how people vote, right? And the Democrats are in power here, and they're still not funding the districts the way they need to be. It's just absolutely wrong. So I feel pretty strongly about that, and my thanks to the district for all the great things we do, but we need more help, and we need help from the state. So that's pretty clear. So, but thank you to all the staff in the entire district, and thanks to you, Jane. Okay, we finished the reports. We have no discussion items today, so we'll move on to communications and board members to start. Freya, you're up. Freya has nothing. All right. Does anybody have anything to share?
Sure. It's a little bit building on the presentations we've heard tonight. I realized that Superintendent Euster also sits on Jerry Hill's Education Committee, as well as Mark Berman, our Assembly rep. And I'm wondering how we could impact voters, impact decisions, or at least awareness. I think we're so aware coming to these board meetings and seeing the constraints between the budget and knowing what we want to do and how valuable our teachers are. How we can, you know, honor the presentation that Kathleen Wall gave tonight about putting, you know, 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag. The reality is the teachers feel the pressure of numerous tasks that feel like it goes way beyond educating, because we have extra, you know, requirements and metrics, and not to say that those things aren't valuable, and we know that the LCAP is so informative because we have metrics in there. So how do we right size that? I'm coming up on my 30-year anniversary at NASA Ames Research Center in January. And in all of that time, I've only worked with one senior manager that when a new solicitation came out, said, okay, what do we need to right size? What can we take off? My entire career, I've seen this creep effect, whether it's systems engineering requirements or metrics or reporting, and people, not just in school districts, but I think in our society, feel that weight. So as a school district, and as we lead our next generation and set an example for our students, I think maybe we need to ask those I wonder questions, and not just wonder about it, but maybe start to identify areas that we can push back on. And I'm willing to help do that if people can figure out and say, hey, Kim, point that direction. And I'll work on it with you. Thanks.
So, not to beat a dead horse, but it's interesting. I came on the board 12 years ago,
this will be my last year. And at the time, we were complaining about the fact that the board, the state promises a certain budget level, then delivers somewhere near half of it. So we're talking about being quote-unquote fully funded at 2008 level. That's incredible because we've never been fully funded in the sense that we don't cover all the true costs. And these are costs, I mean, these are state-run pension programs that are driving our costs up and driving us into negative spending. So everybody knows what's going on, but it's like whistling past the graveyard, waiting for the end of what? Cataclysm. So it's hard to imagine that the state doesn't know what to do, yet we don't get activity. But it's very important that everybody understands, in case there's somebody in this room and perhaps that watches this meeting on TV, that we have one mechanism, one tool we can use, and that is a local funding mechanism called the parcel tax, where we can assess, we can ask everybody that owns property within our district to pay a certain amount per year. Right now, that's $150 per parcel, and it brings us $1.7 million. And with those funds, we can do a lot, despite the fact that the state doesn't fully fund us, and nor does the federal government cover our other driven costs. So we do have this tool. It's the only tool we have, and very fortunately for us, we've had 2 parcel taxes where our folks living here in the district have supported us, and we need to continue that. It's the only tool we have, and anybody that thinks we need more money for education locally should think about how much that number should be in a parcel tax, and I hope they do. I am very thankful for the people that make the sacrifice to work in this district, even though it doesn't pay as well as other districts, because they do a fabulous job and they must believe in what they're doing, because they couldn't deliver such excellence in teaching if they did not. And thank all of you who do that.
Sure. Sophia?
Just briefly to echo Kirk's thanks to everybody that, despite the challenges and hardships, and that's teachers, admin, staff, families that go above and beyond, community members, homeowners that contribute when, because it's the right thing to do for our community in the future. I don't think we can say thank you enough and loud enough for all of that pretty much all the time. And just, I think about a lot of, with all these back to school nights and the library opening and orientations, and how much, again, as I said earlier, this community is really special. And I'm not just saying that because we live here, but there's something special here, and I feel like that, to me, that's our saving grace, and there's something that helps us come together despite all these challenges that seem insurmountable. If you look at them on a piece of paper, it's like, oh my God, that red, the red's just ugly, right? But we come together, we build a library, we pass a bond, we show up to school, we get our kids there, and I think as times get potentially more challenging, for our families and for our budget and all that, I think that's, that call to action's, twofold, right? We're gonna need to double down and get more creative, get more innovative, just continue to improve and do better and beyond, and know that sometimes we're gonna make mistakes and we learn and we go back and it's like, okay, we figured it out together, and that's what we got. So, thank you.
You skipped. Nope, cannot go back.
I want
All
to say thank you as well to all of the teachers and staff and everybody who works so tirelessly. And in particular, congratulations to those that got their awards. Several of them were teachers of my children, and just wanted to say thank you to everybody who works so hard and provides so much, the real heart of our school. I also wanted to just say welcome back. We're all back here after the summer, and this is our first board meeting, and it's great to be back, although definitely there's already some sicknesses going around, so everybody stay healthy, and just wanted to say welcome back from the summer.
Thanks, Freya. And I have no comments tonight. So we will move on to student board member, Ms. DeBose. It's all yours.
So I only have 3 tonight because I've only received 3 from the schools. So we'll start off with Half Moon Bay High School has had a wonderful start to the school year. Our fall sports are in full swing and include girls golf, cross country, girls tennis, water polo, football, cheer, and girls volleyball. Returning clubs at our school are resuming their meetings and new ones are beginning. Some clubs that are available on our campus are Environmental Club, California Scholarship Federation, National Honor Society, Astronomy Club, Mock Trial, Surf Club, Tennis Club, and many, many more. We held our annual Welcome Back Assembly last week, organized by the leadership class. A new addition to our school is a fall play. The play, Peter and the Starcatcher, will be produced at our school this year. Mr. Ward and Mr. Sims will be directing this play and have already casted the roles. The play will be showing one weekend in October. The administrators at our high school have implemented a new policy for the students, assigned parking spots. Each student that has purchased a parking space will receive a personal parking spot. Our school offers math tutors every Tuesday and Thursday at lunch to assist all students that seek help. Courtesy of the Rotary Club, we welcome 2 exchange students, Lucas from Germany and Giada from Italy, at our school. They have already become very involved and we are happy to have them on our campus. El Granada has had a great start to their school year. In addition to welcoming students back to school on the first day, we had a welcome back tea to meet and greet old and new friends. Our back to school night was well attended, and this Friday our PTO is welcoming families for our first family movie night on Friday starting at 6. Fairlawn View would like to report that we had a very well attended and fun-filled back to school night. We thank Assistant Superintendent Dardanelle for joining us that evening. Our amazing reading intervention teacher, Ms. Rochelle, kicked off our Reading for Whiskers program, which allows students to monitor their reading minutes every day, track how much reading is happening throughout the school, and give our young students the opportunity to host Whiskers, our school mascot, in their class for 1 week.
Thank you so much. Superintendent Euster?
I think you've heard enough about my opinions on the district, even though I'd like to do another one. I think that's probably it for me tonight.
Fair enough, thank you. All right, we'll move on to 14 consent items. We have consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. 5-0. All right, we'll move on to 15 action items. This is adopt resolutions numbers 14 through 18, 15 through 18, 16 through 18, and 17 through 18 for employees assigned on the basis of an education code provision. And, sorry, guys, who's presenting on this one? I gotta catch up. Holly?
Good evening. This is a standard item we bring to you to ensure that we are following policies and procedures, and we ask that you approve the following certificated personnel reports as presented.
Great, thank you. Okay, this is going to be a resolution, so we'll have a roll call vote, but do you have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Great, and we'll do a roll call?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, that one is approved. All right, let's move on then to 15B. So that we need to approve the 2017-2018 unaudited actual financials report, which Ms. Leach obviously presented on that earlier.
Yes, as presented earlier to you, I ask for your approval of the 17-18 unaudited actuals report.
Do I have a motion to approve? Second is Freya. Great. All in favor? Aye. All right. 5+1. All right. Now we're on to C, adopt a resolution number 1818 approving GAN limits.
Yes, this resolution is brought to the board every September and presented after the unaudited actuals approval. It's for the Afghan limit, ensuring that the limits of growth of expenditures for publicly funded programs does not exceed the formulated amount. So I ask that you adopt Resolution 1818.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a motion to approve? A second? Is there a second? Okay, that's another roll call.
Aye.
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 Okay, 5+1, great. All right, check. All right, D, 15D, adopt resolution number 19-18, supporting award of lease-back agreements for the Hatch Phase 3 Increment 4 project and authorization to enter facilities lease and site lease by and between Cabrillo Unified School District and Block Construction Company.
Yes, this is a very exciting resolution along with the contract that is placed behind it. This is for Hatch Increment 3, Phase 4. This is the kinder complex. So this is very exciting to finally start the design process of our kinder process. You're probably wondering why you're seeing a lot of contracts come back from Hatch. You see them kind of every couple of months. And so I wanted to provide some explanation for that. One of the reasons, the main reason, is because when Hatch had started the modernization process, it was broken up into phases. So it was submitted to the Division of State Architect in phases, it had contract in phases, and so Phase 1 was the temp campus that we built and constructed so we could move all the students in there. And then Phase 2 was the modernization. We split out a little bit of landscaping, and then now we're moving into the kinder complex. So moving forward with the other school sites and our other major construction projects, you will only see the contract the standard 2 times, which is the award and the approval of the pre-construction services based upon the best value, which I will talk about. And then it will be brought back to you when we have a guaranteed max price for that project. So the guaranteed max price cannot be brought to the board until we have DSA approved plans. So that's why the pre-construction is done first, but the contract language is the same. You negotiate that first, and then you're adding the GMP later on. So with lease-back, you have what they refer to as best value. Best value is that's the standard language that that comes along with lease-back. With the low bid, you're only looking at one thing. You're only looking at cost. So when the district uses the lease-back mechanism, they're looking at best value, which looks at the safety record, the price, the expertise and experience, the schedule, the list of subcontractors that the general contractor works with, and then also staffing, so that you really can create a good marriage for a project to ensure your most successful project. So the best value process started for this project back in March of 2017 when the board adopted the resolution defining the requirements of what the district was going to be grading and assessing the contractors are on best value. And so after we approve the best value, then we send out an opportunity for general contractors to send us proposals that they meet the initial best value criteria. And then once they meet that criteria, they kind of then are on our approved, general contractor list. That then when we have a request for proposal or we have a contract that we're trying to do, then we send them the RFP, which we did for Hatch, the kinder complex. So then that was sent out, and then from there, they're brought in, they're interviewed by a panel of district employees, myself included, and then they're rated on their answers and best fit with the district. So that's how we kind of arrived to this point.
How many I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, sorry.
How many actually submitted RFPs?
So we had 3.
No, thanks for that clarity on best value, because that helps the public understand how we approach this.
Yeah, and just to follow on that, so it sounds to me like best value is not just low bid, it's the lowest cost for a truly value-wise. contract. So we don't just take the lowest price on something, but we say exactly what needs to happen, and then we get the best cost we can for that.
Yes.
Would that be a reasonable interpretation?
Yes.
Okay, and then the other question, because it comes up a lot, why don't we hire just any contractor to build these projects? There's a lot of contractors in town or living nearby. I think you said that they had to be qualified, is that true?
Yes, they have to be qualified.
To build at a certain quality, or
So,
what's the qualification?
So I mean, in essence, a local contractor, if they met the required criteria that the board approved, could submit a bid for this. You know, considering the level of projects that we do, they would need a lot of experience to score high in that area, because you are definitely looking for a contractor that has experience with several subs. I mean, there sometimes are 50 to 100 subs that work on a project, so that's a lot of management. You know, but just to stress what you said, Dr. Reamer, is that, you know, we look at numbers, and we have a lot of people that ask us, you know, why don't you go to low bid? Because there is numbers, you know, associated with the value of something, and you know, and it's better to slow the process down, make sure we're doing what we need to be doing, having all of the right people at the table, and picking the right contractor for the project that we're working on. And I do believe that is definitely a recipe for success.
I would agree, thank you.
All right, do I have a motion to approve number 19-18?
I move to approve number 19-18.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, this is another roll call.
Aye.
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 Aye. All right. So approved. Crystal, you're still here? Okay,
Yes.
good. All right, 15E, adopt resolution number 20-18 authorizing district to issue bond series A. This is very
So
exciting. Thank you to
This,
the
out of
committee.
everything,
Yeah,
I
right,
love,
yeah.
I love contracts, of course I do, but the
Yeah.
one thing I love more than contracts is selling bonds. So tonight I present you with resolution 2018 to sell our first series of Measure M. Doesn't take me long. So this is for the $35 million. This money will be used to finish up Hatch, start the kinder complex, address the landscaping, and begin planning for Fairlawn View and El Granada, and address some smaller projects around the district. Some may ask, why are we doing M when we still have a series of S, right? So it's about timing, it's about best value for the community and the best bang for our buck. And this is the way to go. So actually, right now, the plan for selling the last series from Measure S is not until 21-22. So they'll be mixed up in there. So, because I was questioning that too. But when you look at the numbers and the interest rates and so forth, it's better fitting this way.
All right, may I have a motion to approve 20-18? There's first, second.
Second.
Okay, roll call again.
Aye.
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 All right, 5+1, approved. Also related to the bond, adopt resolution number 21-18, appointing Measure S Citizens Bond Oversight Committee to oversee Measure M bond. Superintendent, you sir?
We could do it together. My mic's on.
Okay, we can.
We can do this in
Together.
a choral recitation.
It's kind of a co-committee.
Yeah. So, we now have two different bonds, Measure S and Measure M. However, the activities of these bonds are intimately related and overlap, one right after the other. So it made sense, we asked council whether we could combine. In other words, the way council will tell you is we're just expanding Measure S to pick up Measure M. To me, it is a combining of the two with a full understanding that the activities from Measure S just simply flow right into Measure M. And it's essential that those who sit on oversight have the big picture of the full building activities. So what is in front of you this evening are the bylaws, which have been changed if you so allow this to take place, and then also the resolution which allows for these committees to come together. I might add that since our mailer on Measure M, the thank you mailer, this is the largest single number of applicants we have ever had. Thank you, Half Moon Bay. We've been begging for 3 years for our oversight committees, and I'm thrilled that this one will be full finally.
We have 8 right now.
Yeah, at least 8, many from the community. I mean, it's very exciting, very, very exciting. This is what we need, is to have a good, robust committee, which is not to say that we aren't grateful for the citizens who've been coming every single time to the other, but it's still until October, so if anybody out there wants to participate, it only meets 4 times a year, and it audits and makes sure that we are spending the monies in accordance. So what you have in front of you this evening, 1 is allowing us to expand Measure S to handle both of the committees, and 2, allowing the bylaws to change accordingly.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right, in a second. Thank you. All in favor? No, excuse me. Resolution, roll call.
Aye.
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 All right, there we go. All right, that's approved. 5+1. All right, let's move on to G, approve a contract with TBWBH Strategies to assess the feasibility to pursue a renewal of the existing parcel tax. Superintendent?
So you saw the financials this evening. You heard me talk about the threats to our programs and our activities. And you also heard Dr. Reamer very eloquently tell you that the only way we have to protect this under the given circumstance is through local measures. We currently have a parcel tax, Measure B, due to expire in 2021, right? Yeah, 2021. We need to continue that parcel tax so that the district can continue its programming. And this is the initial contract with TBWB to poll the community, to find out if there is a will and desire in the community to continue, and to figure out what we do from here. This is the classic starting step each time we do a bond or parcel tax. It always begins this way.
Thank you. All right, do we have a motion to approve the contract with TBWBH?
Motion to approve.
All right, second. All right, Fred is the second. And this is not a roll call, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All righty, 5+1. All right, we're moving on to H, approve Cabrillo Unified School District Governing Board policy updates and adopt the proposed revisions as recommended by the California School Board Association. One of our monthly activities. Superintendent?
Yes, so well, I'm very pleased. We've been a little bit behind in updating some policies. This latest batch finally brings us up to date. Mind you, I got a whole bunch more that just issued. Patty just put them, I went, yes, we're completely up to date. 1 day later, Patty walks in and goes, plunk, not anymore. But it is standard to running because the laws are changing rapidly, and our board policies must catch up with them. And so this is this month, which does bring us, by the way, all the way up to September. So we are really, truly caught up. Next month, I'll have the September policy changes. The highlights of what I bring to you this evening, the main thing that is in here is that the protections being awarded through the board policies and through the state of California about immigration status. Irrespective of what the rest of the country is doing, California, which has always, and I'm very proud of us, paid attention to nobody other than its citizens, has instituted new laws which protect the immigration status of parents and our students. These board policies are being updated to make sure that all of our non-discrimination, all of our relevant policies add this new protected class, which is immigration status, to all of our normal protected classes. So that's the first of and that's 5 different policies are impacted today by that. The second has to do with our emergency and disaster preparedness. As I told you, this year there will be massive changes to the safety plans for our schools. And our committees and our school committees are already beginning to work on that as they bring them up, because there's been a tremendous amount of changes during the safety of students. And so we are bringing ourselves into full compliance with that. Our new safety plans will have to be monitored and actually approved by the board come this April. So that is state law. So these policies you're updating right now give us guidance as to what belongs into our policies. Of course, as being members of the county, we are part of the Big Five and all of the great initiatives that take place here. So actually, we're kind of ahead of where these policies are bringing us up. But this puts a nice floor in place for us. And of course, we go past that in our normal operating areas. So those were the two big areas that we're updating in all of our policies this month.
Thank you, Superintendent. Do I have a motion to approve these updates to board policies?
Just a question, questions will be after we.
Yes. Yep.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, great. Do you have a question?
Yeah, just first, thanks for the really crucial, especially at this point in time, changes to the immigration status policies. I think that's something we'll need to make sure it gets out in the community. Is probably many people have seen the results of surveys that were recently done in our Latino community, specifically in Half Moon Bay, in the review this week. If you haven't seen it yet, look it up. It's, I think, crucial understanding for anyone working and supporting community in Half Moon Bay to understand the types of things people are worrying about, the situations that they're in, that our folks are in financially. So definitely, I would consider a must read if you haven't already. On the emergencies and disaster preparedness plan, help me on my learning journey. There's reference to the comprehensive school safety plans. Can you just brief me a little bit, high level, like how and when and by whom, and are these plans updated, and to whom are they communicated, and how? Cliff Notes version.
Yeah, or as my girlfriend said, give me the Reader's Digest form of it. So here we go. Safety Plan 101. So all school sites and the district itself are required to keep emergency preparedness and disaster planning. We are also required to drill on those procedures. This is your fire drills and your active shooter drills and all of the things that happen at the sites. These plans are required to be produced at each school site in conjunction with the school site councils, with parents, with law enforcement, with input from a wide variety of sources. But the sign-off is a specific committee that comes together, and it is from the school site council. So it has a wide impact. They also suggest that we talk to, beyond law enforcement, fire services as well. The sections of the plan really spend more time talking about prevention than they do on the actual how we're going to get out of here routes are almost the smallest part of the plan. The big parts of the plan are how will we recognize potentially dangerous behaviors, how will we prevent them from happening, what forms of support services, what are our, San Mateo County has something called a threat assessment, which has to do with an immediate assessment whenever we have a student who is talking about harming themselves or others. This protocol is mandatorily in place. So this plan brings all of those elements and puts them under a single umbrella. And it will have tremendously detailed information in it. Parts of the plan will become available for public viewing, but obviously we're not going to have the public viewing how we're getting kids in an emergency and how we're getting them out, obviously for safety reasons. However, there is some argument with the state on this one, because the first thing that came from the state is you have to disclose the entire plan, put it online and out in the public. And we said, are you kidding us? That's the whole point of the plan. So the ways we've been researching to, quote, fill the spirit of this law is that parts of the plan our preventive measures will publish, and our egress, digress routes will be not published. They'll be taken away from the version that goes public. However, a full copy of this will be on site at every single one of our school offices and here downtown. So the plan also sets forth goals for the student, for the whole school site. And those goals will be, we intend to increase the positive engagement of our student, maybe a goal. How will we metric it, and how will the committee look for data to make sure that our school continues to be, it's not just a safe, as in we don't burn down sort of thing, it's also a safe, warm, welcoming environment that all students are feeling valued. So the plan really has, you can hear, it's comprehensive. Now when they talk about a comprehensive, they truly are going at it on not just what do we do after the disasters happen, how do we make sure it doesn't happen to us in the first place. So that's sort of safety plan 101.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
perfect.
All in favor?
Aye.
5+1 again. That's approved. All right, so let's move on to future board agenda items. Public hearing and approved statement of assurance for textbooks and instruction. B, approve Williams Uniform Complaint Report. We say that regularly. C, approve Cabrillo Unified School District Governing Board policy updates and adopt the proposed revisions as recommended by the California School Board Association. So we have covered for one day, Jane, but you're back in it. All right, 17, future events, dates, and requests. September 28th through October 4th, we have parent-teacher conferences at all elementary sites, and that's minimum days for students. October 2nd, we have a big lift meeting at 3 o'clock in the district office. October 2nd, Chamber Education Committee meeting at 4 o'clock in the district office. October 5th and 8th, non-school days for students and teachers. Nice. October 11th, we'll be back again, regular board meeting here at 7 o'clock. And we are, number 18, we are going to return to closed session because we have more work to do, but we will adjourn the regular session. So thanks for coming.